contemplating self-deporting from the United States? I have been where you are. 3 years ago, I self-deported from the United States, and here are 17 lessons that I've learned that I wish I would have known sooner. The first thing that you need to know is that not everyone will support your decision to leave the US, and that's okay. From talking to other people who have self-deported and left the United States, there is a lot of things that can happen. One, there will be people in your life who love you, adore you, are there for you, and although it will break their heart to know that you are leaving and then they might not see you, they will have your back. They will cheer you on. On the other side, there will be people that will criticize your decision that cannot possibly understand why you would do something quote unquote so stupid. And this is people that in a way wish they were you. And what I mean by this is you'll have people that will tell you, why do you want to leave? You have it good. You have a job. You have a home. Your family's here. ¿A qué vas? ¿Qué buscas? ¿Qué necesitas que no tienes? Which just means, why are you leaving? What do you need that you don't have? Your family's here. And these people will be the people that will say to you, if you're a DACA recipient, for example, I wish I had DACA. If I had DACA, why are you complaining? Like, you have DACA, you have good, you have the ability to work. Or there'll be people that say, if I was young like you, if I was your age. Some people I say, you don't understand how difficult it is to start over. You think you can do it, you can't do it. People will doubt your ability to succeed. In a way, they might portray their feelings on your decision. Decide on your own if you want to leave and really think it out. Do your research, have everything considered. And once you have a decision, then consult others, then invite others into your decision, then welcome their opinions. That way, when they come with their criticism, hopefully you don't have any, but if people criticize your decision, you won't be swayed by that. Something else that is going to come up, especially around parents, if you came to the US as a child, is that you'll feel this really heavy weight that you are being ungrateful. You need to realize that you're not being ungrateful. You will always be appreciative of the opportunities the US gave you, of the possibilities and opportunities that were given to you because of the sacrifices of your parents or others that were there to help you. But at the end of the day, you're using all of that. You're not throwing anything away. You're not throwing your life away by leaving the US. You're using what you gained from the US, whether it be money, education, skill set, thing like a network. You're taking all of that to build and give yourself a better future. Self-deportation is not for everyone. You might really need family. They might not depend on you, but for you, family is just so important and so valuable that the idea of leaving them behind or starting over without having them there is something you just can't bear. There might be some of you who want to leave, but you just don't have the finances for it. You don't have that money saved up to start a whole new life. It really depends person to person, but there are so many variables that will impact your ability to self-deport. So not everyone can do it, and that's okay. I think if you're in a community where this is coming up quite a bit and people are saying, okay, we need to go, remember that this is your decision and there is absolutely nothing wrong with staying or leaving. There is this really big misconception that if you're undocumented in the US, then you have to return to your birth country. And that might not be the case, friends. So many people are turning to other countries to explore building a life at, and so many people have successfully done so. Just because you're undocumented in the United States does not mean that you'll automatically get a denial to go to another country. It's not guaranteed, it won't be easy, and there might not be a pathway towards PR or citizenship, but there are options in countries where there are. When I left, or before I considered leaving, I thought it was impossible for someone who was undocumented to go elsewhere. And now 3 years later, I'm a permanent resident in Canada, something that I would have never thought was possible. And I am not the only story. There are so many people who have successfully left and immigrated elsewhere. If you're interested in learning more about other people who have successfully left the United States and gone to other countries, I encourage you to check out Onward, formerly known as Departed Dreamers. It is an amazing community created by some undocumented individuals who left the US and immigrated somewhere else. They are just awesome people who have created this space to let other people who are contemplating leaving the United States or have left the United States to come together and share resources. I will provide a link to their socials in the description box. You need a plan. When I decided that I was leaving the United States, I got so caught up in the excitement and the opportunity to leave and go somewhere else that I honestly ignored making a plan. My plan was, I'm going to go to Canada and I'm going to figure it out. Look at the cost of living. What are you going to need when you get there? you are going to have to find a place to live. And you might not know this, but it might be really difficult to find housing. How much is it going to cost you? You also need to think about, if you're not going back to your birth country, what immigration pathways are you taking? And does that pathway lead to a potential permanent status? Do you have a network there? Do you have any type of security net? Have you thought about plan B if plan A doesn't work? And I know this might seem really overwhelming, like, girl, chill. Yeah, but as somebody who's been through it and has really struggled, I'm telling you, you need to think about all of these things. It's best to be prepared and have a plan than to be overwhelmed with no money, no family, no safety net, being like, what am I supposed to do now? You need less than what you think. When you decide that you're going to leave the US, you're going to have to go through this very painful and difficult process of deciding what you can part ways with and what you're going to keep. There are things that you absolutely need, and there are things that would be nice to have, but you don't need. And it depends on where you're moving, but you can really thrift anything. And especially if you're going to have to be moving around, it will make your life so much easier just to thrift things and then donate them back and then thrift other things, because you can really get anything at a thrift store nowadays, and it will help so much. So unless you absolutely need it, friends, don't bring it with you. Just leave it behind and thrift a new one. Saying your final goodbyes is going to hurt like hell. The things that you're going to feel hugging your friends and family for the last time, nothing could have prepared me for that, because that's when you really acknowledge and it sinks in that you don't know when you'll see these people again, especially if the people you're leaving behind are undocumented. It might be years, it might be decades. You really don't know when you'll ever see them again. And it is so painful to accept and internalize that, because these are people that you love. These are people that you care for. These are people that when you're having a hard time, this is who you reach out to. Save more money. The amount you think you need is actually not enough. I know you probably all understand how much it's going to cost to move and start life over, but let me tell you that you don't actually know how much that's going to cost. It's going to cost you more than what you think it's going to cost. So many expenses come up, so many little things that you couldn't possibly have thought of or anticipated come up. So my advice to you here is save more than what you think you need. As confident as you are, pretend you're going to be unemployed for a few months. Can you live off whatever you saved for an extended period of time? You need to consider that. Your first year after leaving the US is going to be incredibly difficult, and life will test you. For this one, let me get a little closer, because this one's serious. We really need to talk about this one. I know you know that it's going to be hard, but I don't think you internalize how difficult it's really going to be. It's really going to test you. If you're one of those people that was brought to the US by your parents and you were young, in a way, you had a bit of a sheltered experience of what it means to be an immigrant. When you have to go through being an immigrant again and really start over from scratch in a place that you really don't know, and even if you do know it, it's going to be difficult. Just know that the first year is going to be really hard. It's going to really test you. It might even break you, but you can get through it. It gets so much better after the first year, but that first year, man, is it hard. The emotional toll is heavy. Going hand in hand with it's going to be a rough first year, the emotional toll is going to be very heavy, especially if you're moving to a country other than your birth country, because on top of navigating a new country, you're navigating trying to establish a permanent status. If you go to a new country as a student or as a worker, and then you want to pursue that pathway towards permanent residency, you're going to have the emotional toll of trying to adjust your status. You're going to have the emotional toll of navigating what you just did while being a grad student, while being a worker, looking around the room, knowing that these people around you, they don't know what you're going through. They don't understand what life you've lived, the many sacrifices you've made, and what you've had to endure to be where you are today. And then overall, there's just that toll of navigating life, trying to establish yourself in a new country. You are going to experience a profound loneliness. The road of self-deportation, or leaving the United States, is a lonely one. There is a very big difference between choosing to be alone, being an introverted, or choosing to decline invitations, choosing to not see your friends, choosing to stay in instead of going out, to not being able to be around others because there is no one to be around. There's a difference between choosing to decline invitations and not have any invitations, choosing not to go visit family and friends versus not having anyone to visit, having that emotional support system versus literally not having anyone nearby. It hurts. I can't tell you the amount of times I've cried because I felt so alone. But because we want to make this uplifting, I'm going to tell you that it gets better. Although maybe it'll take months, if not a year, if not a little bit longer, you'll find your people. There's just something beautiful about letting others in. You will restart the process of building your credit. Just in case you weren't already aware, and I think a lot of people forget this, your credit history from the US will not transfer wherever it is that you're going. When you move to a new country, you will start from zero. So in the eyes of loaning companies, of potential landlords, you will be seen as someone who can't be trusted. So you'll face this additional scrutiny that you wouldn't have otherwise. My biggest advice for you is to, going along an earlier point, save up a good enough of money because you're going to need it for this. But also try to establish those lines of credit early. The sooner you get to it, the better. Since this one lesson is the more adultier of all the lessons I'm sharing, I do want to include one extra thing that is really, really important. Make sure that you have the original copies of your documents. I know this in the middle of this very emotional decision to leave, in the middle of like trying to work crazy hours to save up as much money as you can, in the middle of the emotional moment of having to say goodbye to your loved ones, you might forget a few things. And this is one of those things that you really need to remember, because you're going to need those copies. You need that birth certificate. You really need that driver's license. You need that passport. If you have a education, bring those transcripts, bring the diploma, bring your vaccination records, because getting them once you leave the US is a lot harder. People will romanticize the life you left. You owe those people no explanation. The US has done such an incredible job of really selling this American dream narrative. It is so embedded in so many countries and the people that live in those countries. So you most likely are going to encounter a person or multiple people who are going to really romanticize the life you left, who will question why on earth you would have left the US, the land of opportunity, the land of freedom, the land where one goes to get rich, because a lot of people think that you can go to the US to get rich quick. And you know, when you know that you're leaving because of the many reasons you're leaving, and you understand more than anyone what it's like to live in the US, to hear someone be like, you messed up, man, you should have stayed, or why on earth did you leave, or I wish I was there, or I wish I would have had the opportunity to live there, you're gonna have a little bit of a... Just know that you don't owe anyone any explanations for your decisions. You need to accept that you may miss out on important moments in the lives of those you love. Friends, this next one is really going to hurt, and I'm sorry, but it is the brutal truth. You are going to miss out on big moments of the lives of the people that you love, and it's going to hurt. You're going to, in moments, wish you were there for them. Feel like you're failing them. You're going to see that their life moves on without you. Last year was really hard for me. My sister graduated, and I wanted nothing more in the world than to attend her graduation, but I couldn't. And then this year, my sister is getting her graduate degree. My youngest brother's graduating from undergrad, and I want nothing more than to be there for their special day, but I can't. I'm missing these big moments, and it really hurts. Last year, 2 of my best friends got married, and I wanted to be there so bad, but I couldn't be there. I try not to think about it, but I don't know when I'll be able to go back to the US. It might be a really long time. So, you know, I'm going to continue to miss these big moments. And I don't regret my decision of leaving the US, but it doesn't make it any easier to know that I'm missing out on so many big moments of the people that I love. And it really hurts. And it's going to hurt. And I'm telling you this because I wish I would have been better prepared to deal with this. I wish that I would have had a dialogue with myself. And something that my sister told me once that really helped, that has really stuck with me, that I want to share with you today, is that remember why you're choosing to make this decision. Remember why you want to leave in the first place. And then you might not know it yet, but as life goes on and you begin to experience these moments of joy and these moments of peace, and you finally feel like you're having control over your life, that an undocumented status isn't constraining you anymore, you begin to say, yes, it was worth it and I would do it again. Ugh. You know, before I keep going here, I find it really uncomfortable to cry in front of the camera. I try to avoid it at all costs. And I know there's nothing wrong with showing your feelings, with sharing that raw emotion, but I don't like to do it too. Making this video is very emotional for me because it's taking me down memory lane. It's making me remember the struggles that I faced to be where I am today. It's reminded me of all the people that I've lost along the way, of the things I'm missing out on, and it's not easy to do. Communication is a two-way street. You can only do so much to keep people in your life once you're gone, but if they don't meet you halfway, then I know you have probably people in your life right now that you love, that you adore, that you consider like ride or dies. But as you leave and as distance grows and as their life goes on, as your life goes on, you'll begin to grow apart. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know? And of course you're going to want to stay in touch with them. Of course you're going to want to see them. Of course you're going to make plans with them to, you know, we're going to meet up in, you know, X country. We'll see each other again soon, you know, once both of us are better off financially, better off in our life. But you begin to understand very quickly that it gets to a point where if they wanted to be in your life, they would. And there's people that, we all have those friends that no matter how much time goes by without speaking, the moment that you connect with them, it's like no time passed at all. I don't mean those people. I'm talking about those people that you go out of your way to reach out to them. You go out of your way to reach out to them again. You literally open your calendar to say, when are you free? And like, I'll match your calendar. I'll call you whenever. Where you really go out of your way to speak to them and they don't try to speak to you. They don't text you back. They ghost you. They go weeks, months, even years without ever reaching out. Those are the people I'm talking to. Those are the two people I'm talking about. It really hurts when you really want to keep some people in your life, but they don't want to, clearly they don't want to be in your life anymore. So just be aware that over time you might grow apart from those people, and it's okay, because just as those people are pulling away from you, there are new people that are going to enter your life that are going to want to see you, want to talk to you, want to FaceTime you, want to hang out, who are people that are going to give you so much love, so much joy. You're going to make so many core memories with them. You're going to love these people. So it's okay. Live in reality, not hypotheticals. It is very harmful to live in that hypothetical world of, did I make the right choice? Should I have done this? Should I have that? If I would have done this, you know, maybe I would have been there instead of here. It does no good to anyone for you to live in that hypothetical world. It really doesn't. And it's very harmful. It just tortures you, and it doesn't let you accept what's right in front of you. But I'm telling you this because I know with the constant immigration changes, a lot of people right now might be like, yeah, I'm getting out of here. I'm not staying here. I want to go. But we don't know what's going to happen after these 4 years, what changes might come. For all we know, there's like a drastic change, and I don't know, they give a pathway to a permanent resident to a bunch of people. You can't live in a hypothetical world where you're like, damn, maybe I should have stayed. Maybe I would have, you know, no matter what happens in the future or what doesn't happen in the future, you need to live in your present. You need to accept and work towards what's in front of you, what's your current reality, not the hypothetical. So let's not even play around with that. You know, me trying to show you by example this hypothetical situation was harmful in itself. Don't do that. No hypotheticals, reality only, your future only, what's happening now only, and that's it. You are going to experience transitioning from surviving to living. When you're in the US, I think for many of us, we're just rolling with the punches. We're like really going through it, that we don't see it. But once you have the opportunity to leave those borders and take a look from the outside, you see things very, very differently. And this was really hard because you go through a process of unlearning. You go through a process of deconstructing trauma. And I think a lot of us don't even realize that some of the things we're going through, have experienced or seen, are very traumatic and have affected us so profoundly and shaped our perceptions, shaped the way we see the world. And it's not something that I would have learned had I stayed in the US. So because I left the US, I see things very differently now. So when you leave the US, you'll experience this big awakening when you're like, whoa. You'll begin to see that there are so many things that you've endured, things you've been through, things that you've had to overcome. that you maybe haven't given yourself, or others, or the situation hasn't given you the ability to really process and internalize and realize and take a moment to really just breathe. And the way that I describe it is that I feel like I was always holding my breath in the US. I was always like, because I feel like I always had to be ready, always had ready to fight, to keep going, to prove my worth. And you just had to go, 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 but you never have moments to just, relax. But once you leave the US and you finally have a moment to realize that you're stable, you have control over your future, you're safe, you have these moments where your body kind of just like opens up, your mind opens up, and then you begin to have these reflective moments. And it's very uncomfortable. It's very difficult. And the way that my body or my mind lets me process this is crying. I'll have moments where out of nowhere I'll remember something, and then I just start crying uncontrollably because it's just so painful to remember what I've been through and to acknowledge where I am today. To have those moments where I'm like, no, I did that. I went through that. That was done to me. That was not okay. Moments where I have to remember my past to accept my future. And that is something really, really hard to do, to allow yourself to let go of the past. Time will keep moving whether you stay or leave. Friends, deciding whether to leave or stay is an incredibly difficult decision. And my goal here isn't to sway you to one side or another, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with leaving and there's absolutely nothing wrong with staying. You get to decide what is best for you because this is your life. But you need to acknowledge that no matter what you choose, life is going to continue. Your parents are going to continue to age. Your siblings are going to grow up. Your friends are going to go on with your life. Whether you are there or not, life will continue for them. And life will continue for you too. I don't know how old you are, but just think about where you'll be in 5 years. Is that the future you want? Is that the future that will bring you happiness? Is that the future that you envision for yourself? When I made the decision to leave the United States, I was 25. And I asked myself, where am I going to be in 5 years? In 5 years, I'm going to be a 30-year-old woman. And the scary thing that really made me want to leave is that I knew exactly where I was going to be in 5 years. I knew exactly where I was going to be in 5 years. I was still going to be undocumented. I was still going to be doing the job that I didn't want to do. I was still not going to be able to pursue the career that I wanted. And that was terrifying. You have to be honest with yourself and think about where you're going to be in the future. And if that's a future that makes you smile, is that a future that brings you joy? Or is that a future that you just literally cannot? You just need to really be honest with yourself and think about the future that you want. And what are you willing to sacrifice to make that future happen? Because things don't come for free. Things come at a cost. And it's a very hard and heavy and tear-filled cost. I've shared with you how hard I had it my first year. I've told you how heartbreaking it is and the reality that I'm missing out on the people I love. You know that I have a bar and I can't re-enter the US. You know that my life in this immigrant journey hasn't been easy. I shared that with you so that you knew the insights of the hard realities that come with this lonely journey. But I'm also telling you that it got a lot better for me. I'm telling you how I'm much happier now, and I would not trade this decision for anything in the world. I would still leave the US every single time. Self-deporting, or choosing to leave the United States, is an incredibly difficult and personal decision. I hope you all take the time to really consider what this means and how this will alter the course of your life, because this is literally a life-changing decision, and I mean that in every extent of the word. You are taking a huge leap of faith. You are embracing this new type of uncertainty. There is no guarantee in the type of life that you'll have once you leave the borders of the US, or the type of life that you will have if you stay. It's a decision that you have to make for yourself. And it's a very, very difficult one. And you are not alone in trying to make this decision. There are so many people also struggling with this conundrum of whether to leave or stay. There was so much unpacked in this video, and I would love to hear your thoughts. So please let me know in the comments, what are your feelings? What are your reactions? What are your thoughts? And please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I just want to support you in your immigrant journey, even if it's just by sharing information or by sharing my lessons learned.